Well, greetings, Mr. Kolazar's class. We're going to start looking at ways that we can predict the products from chemical reactions. So, predicting the products of chemical reactions that we're going to be looking at by classifying them into one of our 5 types: synthesis, decomposition, single replacement, double replacement, or combustion are going to be our 5 types of chemical reactions. Now, to begin with, this is our back 2 pages of your notes is where we're going to be at. So that's kind of where you're going to be wanting to look into. So the first of our 5 types of reactions is synthesis. Synthesis means to make. So we are going to make or to create. So we're going to make a binary ionic compound. For that we need a metal and a nonmetal to produce an ionic compound. So metal plus a nonmetal is going to give us a compound. So let's see for compound. So going to produce 2 or more substances are going to produce one product. General equation, A plus B produces AB. So a couple examples of this. Sodium solid plus chlorine gas is going to produce a chemical. Now sodium plus 1 on the periodic table when it combines, chlorine's a -1. So finding that from your group number on the periodic table, when they crisscross, we don't write 1s. So we get from a synthesis reaction one product, NaCl. We'll be giving you a blank showing that just one product is formed. Now from NaCl, if we look from both sides, sodiums, we've got 1 on each side. Chlorine's 2 here, 1 here. So to balance it out, coefficient of 2 gets put in front here. So we'd have 2 sodiums, 2 chlorines as that multiplier in front. So to finish balancing out, we need to change 2 sodiums to get to 2. So 2 sodiums plus 1 chlorine produces 2 sodium chlorides. Remember, Cl2, that's one of our diatomics. In our second reaction, synthesis to make again, aluminum plus oxygen gas O2, remember another diatomic, is going to produce one compound. So aluminum is a +3, oxygen -2, both those from our periodic table, crisscross. So our formula in the end, Al2O3. So to balance this equation, we have 1 aluminum to 2 aluminums, 2 oxygens to 3 oxygens. Now if we have a 2 and a 3, lowest common denominator was 6 between those. So to get to a 6, first off, 3 times 2 is 6, 2 times 3 gets us to 6. 3 times 2 is 6, and that changes our aluminum from 2 now to 4. So to finish out, aluminum's not balanced, oxygens are. 1 times 4 is 4. So 4 aluminums plus 3 oxygens produces 2 aluminum oxides. So synthesis to make a larger compound. Just the opposite, decomposition. Decomposition is to break down or decomposes. So a binary compound is going to decompose into their elements. Often it requires heat, light, or electricity, so some way to start the reaction breaking down. You got to add a little energy to start out a compound to breaking down into its elements. So AB is going to break into A plus B. So one compound to 2 elements, or one of these could be a compound and an element. So for decomposition, breaking down into its elements, H2O is going to decompose. This one actually you need a little electricity to use. So if you want to, we could write that up above to get electricity in order for water to break down, that's needed. And it's going to break down into its elements, H2 and O2. Now remember, our diatomics, there are 7 of those elements that are always written in pairs. So H2O2 and then N2Cl2, Br2, I2, and F2. All 7 of our diatomics, if they're written as an element, written in pairs. So right now, we got our H's and our O's. We've got 2 hydrogens to 2 hydrogens, 1 oxygen to 2 oxygens. So 1 times what number gets us to 2? 2 does. That also affects 2 times 2. We have 4 hydrogens. Now on the other side, we've got 2 oxygens, 4 hydrogens to 2 hydrogens. 2 times 2 gets us to 4 hydrogens. So in the end, we've completed our reaction. 2 waters is going to break down to produce 2 hydrogen atoms or molecules and 1 oxygen. Our second example, magnesium oxide is going to break down to magnesium and oxygen. Now remember O2, one of our diatomics, to give us O2 instead. So at this point, magnesium and oxygen, we have 1 magnesium, 1 oxygen, and 2 oxygens. So to balance this out, 1 times 2 is 2 to give us 2 oxygens, and now we have 2 magnesiums. So to balance our magnesiums out, 2 is placed there, and 2. So 2 magnesium oxides produces 2 magnesium plus 1 oxygen. Now as we're going our first one synthesis to make or to put atoms together, decomposition is in order to break down. So those are our first 2 types of chemical reactions.